Hello and welcome. Today we're getting into something that, touches almost everyone at some point. And yet, it can feel like we're the only ones going through it. We're talking about building a really meaningful social circle after you turn 60. If you've ever just looked around and thought, my social life isn't what it used to be, you are definitely not alone. But what if the answer isn't about being more charming or just getting lucky? What if it's all about strategy? Well, in this explainer, we are going to unpack a whole new playbook for connection, one that's backed by science and built on purpose.
You may feel making friends is impossible, but the true secret is that the strategy is different. I really want you to let that sink in for a second because it is the key to everything we're about to talk about. If you've been feeling frustrated or like you're just hitting a wall, it's not you. It's not a personal failing. You haven't lost your touch. It's just that the entire game has changed and nobody handed you the new rulebook, right? The ways friendships used to just happen at work, at school functions in the neighborhood, those automatic social engines have slowed way down. But here's the good news. A new, more intentional strategy is not only possible, it's actually way more reliable than just leaving it all to chance.
So let's just picture the shift. For most of our lives, friendship was kind of a spontaneous thing. It just happened. It was this happy accident that came from our busy lives. But now, the new strategy is about intentional science. And when I say science, I don't mean something cold or robotic. I mean a reliable, repeatable process. It's based on what we know about human connection. It's really the difference between hoping you stumble on a beautiful garden and learning how to actually plant one yourself. It's about consciously creating the right conditions for friendship to grow.
And to get us there, we've broken this down into 6 parts. We're going to start with the real secret, then get into why things have changed. We'll cover the core science, give you a practical 3-step plan, talk about the long game, and then we'll finish up with one simple first step you can take today.
Okay, let's jump right into section 1, the friendship secret. The biggest mental shift we have to make is this one. Building friendships after 60 is not a matter of luck. It's not a personality contest. It's a skill. Seriously, just like learning to cook or play the guitar, it's something you can learn, you can practice, and you can get better at. And the foundation of this skill, it's intentional connection, choosing to create opportunities instead of just waiting for them to show up.
Now, to use that skill well, we first have to understand the playing field. Why does making friends feel so much harder these days? Let's get to the root cause. And the answer is in the loss of what we can call automatic structures. Those built-in social frameworks from our jobs and family life that have kind of quietly vanished.
And this slide really lays it out perfectly. For decades, we lived in the automatic years. Think about it. Work, school, even just living close to people. These things were like social conveyor belts. They put us in regular contact with the same people over and over. Friendship could just happen organically because the structure for it was already there. We didn't have to plan it. But now, we're in the intentional years. That conveyor belt has stopped. And that void means we have to be the architects now. We have to build our own new frameworks for connection. And this new reality, it leads to a very specific kind of burnout, initiative fatigue. This is a real thing, and I bet you felt it. It's that emotional weight of knowing that if you don't send the text, if you don't make the call, if you don't organize the coffee, well, it probably just won't happen. At the office, you just bump into people. Now, every single interaction takes that first push. And doing that again and again, it's tiring. It can even feel a little demoralizing. So it's really important to just name that feeling and know it's a completely normal response.
And on top of that fatigue, there's another hurdle, the closed circle effect. You know this feeling? You walk into a room, maybe a class or a club, and you see a group of people laughing together. They've got history, inside jokes, and it feels like there's this invisible wall around them. Like the circle is full and there's just no room for you. It can be so intimidating. But here's what's crucial to understand. This is a known psychological thing. It is not a personal rejection. People aren't trying to exclude you. They're just running on the comfortable autopilot of their friendships. Realizing that changes everything. It's not a judgment on you. It's just a barrier we can learn to navigate.
Okay, so we've diagnosed the problem. We've lost our automatic structures, and that leads to initiative fatigue and these intimidating closed circles. So now let's pivot to the solution. And this is the most powerful, most hopeful part of this whole explainer, because it completely reframes the challenge.
Here it is. If you take away only one thing today, please let it be this. Friendship is a science of consistency. That's it. That's the secret. Every deep, trusting relationship you've ever had, whether you were 16 or you're 60, it's built on the exact same foundation. Consistent, repeated interaction over time. It's not about saying the perfect thing. It's not about having some magnetic personality. It is simply about the quiet, reliable power of showing up again and again in the same place. That is the engine of all human connection.
And this formula right here,
This is how trust is built. It doesn't happen in one big, deep conversation. It's built layer by layer. So, step 1, repeated low-pressure interactions. And that low-pressure part is key. It means you don't have to be on. Step 2, a clear, shared purpose. This is the why you're all there. Maybe it's learning to paint or discussing a book. This shared goal gives you a natural reason to talk without any of that awkwardness of forcing small talk. And when you put those two things together, consistency and purpose, well, step 3 just starts to happen all by itself. Natural trust and connection just emerge.
So where on earth do we find this magic combination? The answer is in what's called a third place. So your first place is home. Your second place was probably work. A third place is any organized setting that gives us that structure. Think a volunteer group, a book club, a yoga class. The beauty of a third place is that it does all the heavy lifting for you. It creates the consistency. You show up every Tuesday at 10 a.m. And it provides the shared purpose. We're all here to learn this thing. It is the perfect antidote to that initiative fatigue we talked about.
Okay, so we get the science, we get the power of the third place. Now for the big question, how do we actually do this? Let's move into the practical steps. This is your toolkit for turning this theory into a real, thriving social life. So our strategic plan is built on 3 really clear, manageable steps. First, we're going to commit to 3 third places. Second, we'll practice something called a low-risk initiation. And third, we'll learn a really powerful technique for deepening a friendship called the activity stack invite.
All right, step 1, commit to 3 third places. Now why 3? Well, it's basically a diversification strategy, kind of like investing. If you put all your social hopes into one pottery class and it doesn't really click, it can feel like a huge failure, right? It's really discouraging. But if you commit to 3 different activities, you totally lower the pressure on any single one. You're creating a portfolio of social possibilities. The goal is to find activities you genuinely enjoy that have that built-in weekly commitment. That part is non-negotiable. Consistency is the engine. It could be a walking group, a language class, whatever, as long as it puts you in the same room with the same people for the same reason week after week.
Now for step 2, once you're in your third places, you practice what we call low-risk initiations. And the huge relief here is that you do not have to be a brilliant conversationalist. You just have to be a curious participant. So instead of asking those high-stakes personal questions like, "So what do you do?" which can feel a little bit like an interview, you focus your curiosity on the shared activity itself. Like the example here, in a book club. Something as simple as, "That's a great point you made. Could you tell me more about that?" is a perfect low-risk initiation. It just works because it's safe, it's relevant, and it shows you're engaged without putting anyone on the spot. It just signals, "Hey, I'm friendly and I'm listening."
And finally, step 3, the most powerful tool for taking things to the next level, the activity stack invite. This is how you gently bridge that gap from a group acquaintance to a potential friend. The method is so simple. After you've had a few of those positive low-risk interactions with someone, you stack a second activity right on top of the first one. So for example, as your book club is wrapping up, you turn to that person and say, "Hey, I was just going to grab a coffee next door. Do you have 15 minutes to join?" It's brilliant because it's so low pressure. It has a built-in time limit, just 15 minutes, and it feels spontaneous. It's the perfect, gentle way to see if there's potential for a one-on-one connection. So we've got our 3-step plan, but it's so important to remember that following these steps, it's not just a tactic to fill up your calendar. It's a strategy for building something way more important. And that brings us to our next section, the true endgame of all this work, which is building a truly resilient network.
And this is such a crucial distinction. The goal of this whole process isn't just to collect contacts or have people to call when you're lonely. The real goal is reciprocity. It's about building relationships where you are an essential contributor, where your skills, your wisdom, your presence are valued. It's that shift from just needing others to being needed by others. That is the deep satisfaction of knowing you're the person someone calls for gardening advice or the first person they want to share good news with. That sense of mutual reliance, that is the absolute bedrock of a fulfilling social life.
And the payoff for this intentional work is just immense. Every time you show up to your third place, every time you risk a small, curious question, you're not just looking for friends, you are building self-efficacy. That's that core belief in your own ability to connect and shape your social world. This consistency weaves a powerful psychological anchor into your week, a predictable rhythm of human contact that really pushes back against loneliness. And over time, this process doesn't just give you a list of friends, it cultivates a deep, resilient root system of support that can sustain you through anything.
We've covered a lot,
the why, the science, the how. But you know, knowledge is only powerful when it leads to action. So let's bring all of this home with one clear, simple, and gentle first step.
So I want you to just take a moment and genuinely ask yourself this question. After everything we've talked about, what is your first gentle step? And the key word there is gentle. This is not about some massive, intimidating overhaul of your life. It's about finding one small, manageable thing you can do this week to just move forward. It just has to be a start.
So here is your challenge. Before you move on with your day, simply identify 3 potential third places. That's it. You don't have to sign up yet. You don't have to call anybody. Just do the research. Open up your computer, look at your local community center's website, check the library, find 3 local activities that line up with your real interests and, this is the important part, require a weekly commitment. This triple commitment is your strategic starting point. It's the very first concrete step. So, to wrap this all up, remember, making friends successfully after 60, it's not about luck. It's a strategic exercise in creating consistent, structured interaction. The most powerful insight here is committing to those 3 third places, letting the science of consistency and shared purpose do its magic. You already have a lifetime of wisdom and experience and so much to offer. And now, you also have a new set of tools and a clear framework. You have a plan to intentionally build a supportive, reciprocal network, one that will bring deep meaning and joy to all the years ahead. You are fully equipped to do this.